So we know from watching Gleason that Steve is an avid tweeter. And I went to his Twitter yesterday and I saw a recent tweet which was, I have no intention to hang in there or survive. I intend to keep living a purposeful, productive life and do what I love. So how much of that mission statement, that personal mission statement, is also for you first, Michelle, and also for you, Clay, with making this film? Because this is not just a film, this is also your life. This is your history, your world, River's world, Steve's world.
So, Steve is he's an amazing, I've been looking at his Twitter feed lately too, and I think he's like turning into a great motivational speaker. And I'm not that great of a motivational speaker, but to that point, I try to take from Steve not just hanging in there. I have a lot of days where I don't feel like hanging in there, and I have to, not doing anything kind of great. So I try to take from him to actually live a little bit harder than I'm actually feeling like doing it, because sometimes I'm just feeling low. To that point, I think I can model myself after Steve and what he does and how he has to act through what he's going through to try a little bit harder and do things maybe better than I would normally. I don't know what I just said.
You did good. I think for me, and like watching you guys and trying to put the movie together, it was about trying to show that determination. So that same determination that made Steve an outstanding football player, even though he was undersized, is the same thing that I think helps him to excel and continue, to be a good father and husband and.
100%.
So that strength and that determination is so present in his life that I think that's a good representation of what must go through his mind all the time, is that tweet talking about not fading away.
There's so many things that this film is. There's many layers to it. It has to do about father-son. It has to do about being a hero, and then also, he gets to interview Pearl Jam, so he gets to be in the other seat where he gets to, see someone that he's idolized or a group that he's idolized. But what did you want the movie not to be? Because the movie is so many things and has many layers. But what did you, when you got together, I don't want this movie to be this?
I mean, I think one of the things that it could easily veer into is just a 100% kind of rosy, cheery picture of, the sports hero. And I think, for it to veer into somewhat saccharine territory would be a real shame, because one of the things that Steve said when I first met with him about the film was he wanted to show the daily realities of what it's like to live with ALS. And the daily realities of ALS are not rosy and cheery all the time. So, while the film mixes humor and sadness and all of these emotions, and it's very dense emotionally in that way, I think it would do a great injustice, and it would be hard for people who had ALS to watch the movie and appreciate it in that way if it was just all rosy all the time.
I would say the exact same thing. I think it would be a disservice to people who are actually living with the disease to just see a movie just about the rosy parts, because not everyone is as fortunate as we are to interview Pearl Jam or to have this amazing team of people around us. And so I think showing the realities of our day and being honest and as raw and honest as we can be is more cathartic for people watching it, going through it, so they can actually, almost feel like, okay, these guys are going through this as well, and it feels good to see other people going through this, as well as being able to show people that are around them, this is what we're going through if you don't really understand what we're going through. So I think I think he hit it nail on the head.
Well, Michelle, I like what you say in the film, in that you want to be seen as a real person. You don't want to be seen as a saint or a devil, but a real person. Mm-hmm. And
that's kind of what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. So
or a dick face. Sure.
I actually didn't hear that part. Okay, maybe you did say that. I didn't hear it. But in terms of the editing, the footage that that you put together, Clay. When did you allow Michelle and Steve to see how you've pieced it together? Because it's interesting, a filmmaker sees one version, and then the people that the film is about, it's their life. It's a totally different version.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was pretty crucial to be able to show Steve and Michelle a cut of the film and multiple cuts, in that we were constantly trying to find the line of making a responsible movie, because it is so open and honest and raw, and they're so vulnerable, that we didn't want to put out a movie that made somebody uncomfortable to the point where we were exploiting them against their wishes. So what we really had to do was try to, have a dialogue and collaborate. And so we showed you guys the movie right before we submitted to Sundance, I think. Mm-hmm. And then as we were finishing, leading up to the festival, we're talking about it all the time.
You tweaked it, and
Yeah.
Were there parts though that you said no, because one day Rivers will see it, and unless he's already seen it, and really start to comprehend his life? You said, I don't want this in there.
Did I tell you I didn't want anything in there? I think that mostly they had things in that I wanted to stay in. I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be as real and raw as possible. So some of the things that might have been taken out, I fought to have them back in. But as it is, I don't think there's anything that's in there.
Yeah, at that point, the cut was, I think, like 2 hours long as well. So we're trying to get it down to time, and you have to, as they say, kill your darlings in the edit room. And there was lots of moments. Look, we had 1,300 hours of footage that were captured over 5 years. So there was plenty of amazing things that had to hit the edit room floor. But yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't say that there's anything that was just like something that was against my wishes or something that had to be taken out. Or
he was very patient, though. I think between Steve and I, we're the biggest probably critics, plus an entire team of us who are looking out for us and for Team GLEASON. And I think he did a good job in trying to appease everyone, at the same time trying to make the movie that he was hired to make. It's not an easy process.
No, I'm sure it's not. What I found fascinating was that Steve was not only part subject, but he was also part interviewer, where he got to speak to Pearl Jam. And I think there was the one scene where he was able to ask Eddie Vedder about his dad, which I know is very powerful, sort of impetus behind some of their songs. Has Steve always been inquisitive and sort of upfront? Because I even saw it with his father, the one last interview that he did toward the movie, where he was it seemed like he was wasting no time. He wanted certain answers, and he wasn't going to sugarcoat them, whereas other people might ease into it. And do you think the ALS diagnosis kind of made it like, this is it, and we're doing this now? Or was he always like that?
I think for sure that has a little bit to do with it. I'm trying to remember. He's changed a lot physically. I mean, he's changed a lot through the diagnosis, obviously. I think that Steve is able now, with what he's gone through, I think people respect that he types with his eyes, and respect that, small talk is really not part of his personality anymore. So yeah, I think he's more comfortable now in just getting to the point, just for conversation alone. It takes forever to have a conversation because he's typing one letter at a time. So I don't know if it's the ALS diagnosis or it's the technology, but I think he's definitely, in your question, more apt to get right to the point and have a clearer interview to get questions he wants answered than he probably would. He used to talk with lots of mans and dudes, and
I mean, he's always been a very well-read and articulate guy. From what I can tell, is that it's made him more efficient in his words, and he's always been articulate. But yeah, now it's like there's only so much time.
It's efficient overload, yeah.
And so he's super efficient in his speech, and is able to cut right through.
Yeah, he's gotten really good at that, at being, with the questions being answered, and with everything. Unlike people around him are just like blah 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 blah, like his wife. I've not gotten efficient yet.
so long.
Whatever do you mean?
He just sent me a text before this. Stick to short answers.
Perfect example.
Thanks, Steve.
Clay, what's your process for writing a documentary? As you're writing something, but in the same sense, it's a real thing that's happening.
Yeah, to me, it's writing is editing. So like the editor of a documentary is the writer, and I think that it's just you're crafting the story out of pieces that already exist, and you're helping to kind of craft these sound bites and lay out the story in conjunction with the director as well. That just happens to be me in this instance as well. I do editing and directing, so it's not that I'm having conversations with myself all the time, but
Only in the car.
only in the car. Yeah, lots of voice memos to myself. Yeah, I mean, it really helps to, in the writing process, to have people and a sounding board to help craft the story, because you get lost in it. And for me, those sounding boards are Seth Gordon and Mary Rolick, two of our other producers. And that's just, they've been with me on all the movies that I've made. Mary is also my wife. So that's, there's some overlap there, but
A little
bit. And yeah, we're just having that sort of that creative team that you can bounce ideas off of and try to figure out what the best story is to be told out of the pieces that you were given.
Right. Now, if I understand the story correctly, you heard about the making of the film and you jumped on a plane with no hesitation. I don't know if that's a correct story, but
Yeah.
do you remember what that plane ride was like? And where
He
were
was
you
in the
flying
baggage.
Yeah, I was in storage. It was a cargo plane. I was next to a goat.
from? Okay, right. Friendly goat, yeah.
Friendly goat.
Very friendly goat.
So I saw this teaser trailer that these two guys, Time Mitten Small and David Lee, had put together, and they had been with the family shooting for years and really embedded themselves and become a part of the family. So they put this teaser trailer together. I saw it, and a couple days later, I jumped on a plane to go and meet the family and profess my love for the story. And immediately, I just was taken with Steve and Michelle. I felt like I knew you guys.
He mostly fell in love with me.
Yes, we played ping pong almost immediately after I
Kicked
showed
my
up
ass.
to the house. So just being able to bond and get to know each other better was I think crucial.
But during that flight, was there any type of, should I be doing this? What if it's not a match? I mean, what were the voices in your head at that point?
Honestly, if I'm being totally candid, I did not have any of those voices. I was very excited to come and talk to them, and I felt like there was, a little bit of background. My father has been Muhammad Ali's lawyer for 30 years, and I'd always been wanting to tell a story about Muhammad and his wife Lonnie. And in seeing some of this footage about Steve and Michelle, I saw some very strong parallels, and I just felt instantly, even in that 6-minute clip, that like I knew how to tell the story. And I know that sounds perhaps overconfident, but I just wanted to go down there and talk to them and show them that I was the best person to come on and help bring their story to the world.
And when he left, what was the conversation like? I like this guy. I trust him.
Oh, I didn't really care much about the movie part. I just liked him because he played ping pong with me.
Okay, so you knew, like, okay, this guy's...
Yeah,
he's good.
There was a movie crew that was figuring out the movie. I was like, no, I liked him. I like his look, and I liked his clothes, and I like to play ping pong with him.
Oh, what did I wear? I don't even remember what I wore.
Just probably your...
Same
yeah,
crap.
Probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Nice shoes, by the way.
Yeah.
He didn't wear the
Can't
shoes.
see them, but yeah. What do you want people to take away from the film? Even if they're not within the ALS community, what do you want them to take away from it?
So I think my favorite response of this question, because we get it quite often, is I hope that people get from it what they need to get from it. Because I think people are everyone's going through something in their lives. And from talking to people and the different ways this film has impacted them, it seems like it's affecting people in all different ways, and they're getting all different types of things from it. So that's the short and sweet answer. I hope they get what they need that day from it, or that week from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking before we started rolling a little bit that I hope that people take away a sense of the power of the resilience of the human spirit. That there's, no matter what kind of hardships that people are going through in their lives, that there are ways to persevere and to maintain hope. And so just that perspective, and doing things that you love with the people you love, having that hope is, I think, very important and something that's really universal.
At what point do you plan to show Rivers the entire cut of the film, or he's already watched it?
It's a great question. We still have to talk about it. We're still not even, he must know what we're doing here. We always call it an event, but I don't think till much later, maybe when his cousins watch it. So no plans of yet. He's 4. I'm thinking like 32.
Although we have brought together all the video journals that Steve has recorded, and we have them organized and on a drive and set aside for Rivers.
He loves watching himself.
Yeah, I can see why. He's really adorable. You have 1,300 hours of footage from the 2 DPs that were essentially living with you, also acting as part-time caregivers.
Right.
Is that right? Okay. So when you received the footage of these vlogs that Steve did on his own, how was that for you? How much time was that? How much time worth of footage?
So of the 1,300 hours, I say about a little over 100 of it was these video journals. And very early on, it became apparent that we could use these video journals as a spine and as a kind of device to kind of thread the movie together, because in all of those hours, there was never any really sit-down interviews with too many people to ask, like, what's going on right now and how do you feel about it? So that was a way for Steve to essentially be doing that all the time. Here's what, I had a statue unveiling today. This is how I feel about it. This is what happened.
That's cool.
And so it was kind of a pre-made tool that we could use to help build the structure of the film.
What were a lot of those vlogs shot on? Because I think it was earlier, so DSLRs.
Yeah, a lot of it was iPhones, and some of the very first iPhones, and then it moved on to some Handycam, like Canon, JVC kind of home video cameras. Mm-hmm. What else was there? You would know.
GoPros. Did you already say that out loud?
No.
GoPros, yeah.
GoPros, okay.
Lots of GoPros. Once because Steve could put it on when he would still control his wheelchair, he could put it on there. So lots of trips with Rivers, he'd film them, or like the adventures. But I remember we used to put his phone down for time lapses and just like write a big card, like in the middle of a neighborhood, and be like, "This is Steve Gleason's camera, please don't steal it." Yeah.
Another Steve-ism is awesome ain't easy.
Yeah, so Awesome and Easy is one of our favorite shirts, and in the movie it stems from a time when Steve's having one of the video journals to Rivers, and he's starting it, I think, saying like it's one of the first days he's actually watched himself in these video journals and felt like he's looking sick, and it was really tough for him. But as he continues to talk to Rivers in this little crib he's in, he said, and he said, "Son, this is not going to be easy, but it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to be here for you, as long as I can." And so that's where it stemmed from right after that. But you really got me good. I'm just like sitting there like, please don't ask this me.
You came out firing, I'll tell you what, the first question.
And I was just looking at his Twitter feed this morning, just kind of like, oh man, we're so different.